So distance time graph में first is what are the possibilities? So we have distance here and time here. So distance in physics is represented by s. That's very important. And keeping this in mind that distance is a scalar quantity. That has to be kept in mind too. So that's a scalar quantity and that's distance time. So if we see something like this, so mathematically speaking, we know that this is something which is a straight line, right? That's first thing. And in physics, what we understand by this is that there is something that is moving. So as you move along, so we move along x-axis, we have more time, and as we move along y-axis, we have more distance. So that means something is moving. Now, when we say something is moving, so in physics it can mean a lot of things. Moving with what? Moving how? Moving fast, moving slow, what? So there are multiple things for it. So if something is moving, so the idea is that we can have a continuous motion or an accelerated motion or a non-accelerated motion, things like those. So let's understand through graph and maths what kind of motion is this. So simply speaking, first fact is the substance, the car, the object is moving if we see this. The other thing is if we find out the gradient here. So gradient we did yesterday, that was rise over run. So rise is all about distance and run is all about time. So anything that relates distance over time. So that was, if you guys remember, that was speed, right? So the gradient here tells us the speed. Also, the gradient here represents something that is of a straight line. So if we connect straight line, we remember that, the gradient of a straight line is always same. It is not changing. It stays constant. So the idea here is we can understand it like this, that since it's a straight line and it's a gradient and it is speed, so we can say it is moving with uniform speed. ये बताओ, ये बात समझ में आती है तुम लोगों को?
Yes.
Nice. So also the second inference would be if something is moving with uniform speed. So what does that tells us about? That tells us about this object that it doesn't have any acceleration. This is zero acceleration. It cannot accelerate. That doesn't mean, aankhein khol ke dekho, that doesn't mean it is at rest. It is not accelerating. So something like, if it is moving with 2 meters per second here, so it goes on with 2 meters per second, 2 meters per second. If it is moving like 10 meters per second, so it is moving with 10 meters per second, it is moving with 10 meters per second. It is staying constant. It is not changing. So these are some of the examples for the journey, appearing here. So if on the same graph, I can show you what would be the gradient for these two different values. So 2 meters per second would be a lesser, kind of less steep gradient. 10 meters per second would be a more steep gradient like this, but it would still be, a constant gradient. So this would represent 2 meters per second. Okay, is this understood? Now, second part is the other possibility would be if we have something like distance time and it goes something like this. Now, what does that mean? So it is still a straight line, right? But what the difference primarily is that this straight line is basically horizontal, right? So actually, if we see, that means if we move from here to here, so what is changing? So only time is increasing, right? We don't see any change on distance. That means essentially what does this tells us about? This tells us about that something is not moving. It is at rest because it is not having any, particular distance, any change on y-axis. Whatever the distance was, it is constant over a certain period of time. So this means this is at rest. So now how do we, identify that whether this is at rest or no? So the answer is having a straight line means you don't have any gradient. That's zero gradient. So zero gradient of distance time graph means zero speed. Zero speed means something is at rest. Is this understood? Nice. Third thing, what if, चलो let's see कितना focused थे आप लोग. If we have something like this, ठीक है, what does this tells us about? Is this a straight line? Answer is yes. That's a straight line. So if the question says I have, kind of a distance time and we have a straight line like this, so what does that mean? So first thing, the usual answers are, क्या आंसर दोगे बताओ? What do you guys think about it?
The speed is decreasing.
Speed is decreasing. That's one of the answers. What about others? बाकी क्या कहते हैं? बाकी क्या सोचते हैं? बस only one answer, speed is decreasing. That's it. बाकी लोग कुछ नहीं सोचते.
I think it's coming to the original position.
So Vinyl says it goes to the original position wherever it started from. Acha, okay. What about Parisa? What does she has to say? Okay. So basically, the idea here is, which you guys, kind of for totally forgot. The answers are the expected answers. The idea here is, beta, see, for example, let's talk about you. This is you. That's your home. Okay. If you move towards your home, you're starting somewhere, you're going towards your home. You guys tell me, is distance increasing or decreasing?
Decreasing.
So one of the answers is decreasing. Do we all agree that distance is decreasing, or do you have something else to say? You're starting here, you go all the way to your home. So is distance increasing or decreasing? So one of the answers is distance decreasing. Can anyone has to say distance increasing? Is anyone thinking on these terms? No. That's sad. So, if you start somewhere and you go towards your home, so actual may what you're thinking is you are going towards your home. So as you move towards your home, your displacement decreases. But, distance would be increasing. Imagine you're traveling in a car, imagine you're traveling in a bus, imagine you're walking, you will consume energy, right? So if you're consuming energy, if you are consuming fuel, so you are covering a certain distance, right? So it is not decreasing, it is distance to your home, that's displacement which is decreasing, but you're actually moving farther away from the point you have started up from. Say you started at from point A, so how far you are moving from A is actually increasing. That's the problem. That's the idea. That distance can never decrease. You need to understand this. Distance from something, yeah, it can decrease, but distance can never decrease. Do you guys understand these two terms? So this graph is not possible. But if I say distance from, A, so this should be something like this, right? Because you're moving away from A. And if you write distance to home, then you can say okay, this is decreasing. But if you just say distance, so that's not possible. Now the idea here is, if I say distance to home, so is it distance? No, it's not distance, it is displacement. Why is this displacement? Think about it. Because you have assigned distance and you put a direction to it, right? Going towards your home is a direction. If you say distance from point A. So is it kind of only distance? No, you have a distance, but you are assigning it to some starting point. That's it. That's but displacement. So we can agree on this line that displacement can decrease. Displacement, yeah, displacement can decrease. If I write displacement here, that's possible. That's equally done. But if I write distance time, is it possible to have a distance time graph like this? So the answer is no, that's not possible because distance cannot decrease. ये बताओ, ये बात समझ में आती है?
Yes.
Do we all agree on this? अगर किसी को कोई मतलब डाउट है तो वो मैसेज भी कर सकता है, व्हाट्सएप पे भी कर सकता है, बट यू हैव टू बी रिस्पॉन्सिव. वन ऑफ द अदर एग्जांपल्स वुड बी, कैन टाइम डिक्रीज? Just a thought, can time decrease? So you can say, time, for example, if you're going to school, you can say, as you enter school, your time starts, and towards your home time, you can say initially you had 4 hours to spend on, during school, say. But as time passes, you can say time is, actually decreasing. No, it is not decreasing, right? Because it's a scalar quantity. It is always going to increase. You are just targeting home time. So you are saying time to home is decreasing. So that's not, mathematically correct to say. Time can never ever decrease. So is true for everything that's scalar in physics. ये अगर आपको अभी भी बात समझ में नहीं आई ना, ये जरा मुझे बता देना प्लीज. Scalar quantities are always meant to either increase or they stay constant. But examiner can play. Examiner would never say clearly, plot a displacement time graph. No, 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 no. He would say distance to city A. Now you need to understand, examiner is messing up with your, concept. He is labeling distance, but he is actually telling us displacement. Do you guys get this? Because that's where most of the students, they lose marks.
Sir,
Yes.
I don't understand how displacement decreases.
Yeah, that's a good question, but you do understand that distance cannot decrease, right? I can
Yes.
explain that part, displacement, how displacement decreases. So now let's do something like this. So for example, if I say, this is point A and that's point B, say. So distance between A and B is, say, 10 meters. Very simple. Now, if I say there is a guy who starts from A and he moved towards B, so he actually traveled 10 meters, right? Towards B means he's going towards, say, east. So if I add this east here, so this becomes what? This becomes displacement. So he reached here, say, okay, fine. Now going all the way back from B to A. So what would be the displacement? So displacement at A would be 0, right? Why? Because when you are moving towards back to the point where you started off from, so that would be 10 meters west, right? So mathematically speaking, if something started here, went all the way here, then came back, so it doesn't displaced, it is exactly at the same point where it started off. So yeah, displacement can decrease, but in going towards A, he traveled 10 meters. Coming back to A, he still traveled 10 more meters. So he consumed fuel equivalent to 20 meters. It took him, maybe 10 minutes to reach from A to B. It will take him again 10 minutes to reach from B to A. That's 20 minutes overall because time cannot decrease. But eventually, what happens is, you need to understand this, that displacement refers to how far you are from a certain point, right? So if you start your journey from home, you go to your school and you come back to your home. So what is your displacement from home? So that's 0 because you went somewhere and then you came back. So you started where you are ending. That's the same point. Do you get this, Parisa?
Yes.
So displacement can decrease because displacement is associated with a direction. It tells you where you are from a certain point, and if you reach back the same point, it's 0. But distance has nothing to do with the direction. Do you guys get this? Is it clear to all of you? 100% clear? It has to be absolutely clear.
Yes, sir.
Nice. That's very nice. Now coming back. So this was explained, this was, I think, clear to you guys. This was explained, that was clear to you guys. Now this is not possible in a certain way. We had a debate on this. Now the idea here is, what about, if you have curves? So that's a distance time graph. So yeah, I'm sorry, I got disconnected. Can you guys hear me now? I'm sorry, I got disconnected. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So coming towards the other part, what if we have curves? So, something like this. So that's a curve. That's not a straight line, right? And we have something like this as well. That's different possibility, right? You can have something like this as well. So that's a still a curve. So we did this thing that, mathematically speaking, this is very difficult. No, this becomes easier to climb, right? As you move, so this becomes easier to climb, this becomes difficult to climb, right? This is going more and more steeper. So this is increasing gradient, right? And that's a decreasing gradient, right? That's mathematics to it. Now let's do physics. Gradient here was distance time, gradient here is still distance time. So what does that mean? So that was speed, right? So that is still speed here. So can I say for this guy here, speed is decreasing? Can I say here, speed is increasing? Right? Do you guys get this part?
Yes.
Everyone, all of you?
Yes,
Parisa, you? So this is very important. So now the idea here is, this thing actually is speeding up. So if I write some values here, so this would be, let's say 0 meters per second, then it became all the way, 2 meters per second, then it would be, say, 5 meters per second, right? So this would be, then it could be 10 meters per second, then it could be, 20 meters per second. So this is, you see increase in speed, right? We get this. That's very important. Now the other part is, if it's, that's more, my love for physics, but that's not part of your exams. But I want you guys to understand physics holistically, so you don't struggle in your A levels. If you stay focused here, what you find here is, you see a change of 2 here, you see a change of 3 here, you see a change of 5 here, you see a change of 10 here, right? Is that it? Is that correct? Now you see a different change every time, right? So this represents an exponentially increasing curve. So had this been a uniform curve, so all of these speed changes would be same. So in your IGCSEs and GCSEs and the bacha type level, yeah, the cute level of physics, the basic level of physics, not to offend anyone, but abhi ke level ke liye, it's like when we started studying solar system, all they told us was, earth is a sphere, earth is round, and it goes on in a straight circular path and all that. And later on we came to discover, no, it's not, it's not a perfect sphere, it's like something more at the equator, less at the poles. Now they say even it's not like that, this is not perfect sphere, neither it's an egg shaped, it's a damaged egg shaped, something like that. And now they've came up with, no, the orbit is not perfectly circular, it goes on to straight, then it's an elliptical orbit, and then it goes like this, and then they came up with this till A levels. Then beyond that, they say, oh, no, 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 even sun is moving, entire galaxy is moving, they're all sinking. So it's like that. So initially at your level, what we can say, we can have different rates as well or same rates as well, we will have the same curve. But as you move towards your A levels, you'll have a different curve. We'll discuss that later, inshallah. But abhi ke liye, this is important. So what would be, the speed values here? So it's something like, something is moving at 10 meters per second, then kind of it's basically decreasing gradient. So it has to be initially 6 meters per second, so there is a decrease in 4, right? And then it has to be lower than that, so it would be 5.5 meters per second. So it's a change of 0.5 meters per second, right? And then it has to be kind of 5.1 meters per second. So it is slowing down, right? It will slow down eventually. So there is a change of 0.4 meters per second here. So it will slow down, but it will take a longer time to slow down. So that's what this curve means. पहले ये steeper है, फिर ये थोड़ा slower है. Do you guys get this part?
Yes.
What about the others?
Yes.
Nice. So let's try a question. Question says, there is a car, ठीक है? It started from rest, right? And accelerates. That means it is speeding up for 5 seconds. Then maintains constant speed for 5 seconds and then come to rest for in next 10 seconds. So you have to sketch a distance time graph for this journey. I'll give you 3 minutes. You guys do it. Send your answers on my WhatsApp or Zoom chat. Let's see who does this correct. If you have any doubts, you can ask a question. You have to just sketch, but time axis pe you can label. So something is starting from rest, accelerating for 5 seconds, maintaining constant speed for 5 seconds, and then come to rest for in the next 10 seconds. How do you go about it?
Sir, I've sent mine in the Zoom chat.
You have sent yours in Zoom. अच्छा भाई, okay. So you have marked something like this for no. As I said, the question was to have a speed time graph, distance time graph, not a speed time graph. What about you guys? Done? Not done thinking? Acha, Manahil has sent me the answer here. That's distance curve for first 5 seconds, then constant 5 to 10 tak, then next. So Manahil, okay, okay. There is a slight problem on with that. That's a new thing which I've heard. Problem on, you know, that's something still slightly wrong with that. Problem on. Okay. We are waiting for Parisa now. What she has to say. Parisa, you can, just send me anything. It's not about, koi masla ho, you can send anything, whatever you think. So, meanwhile, should I wait, Parisa? Parisa. Acha, okay, I'll wait. Chalo. So I have got my answer from Parisa as well. अच्छा, okay. तो इसका मतलब ये है कि the idea went, a bit tangent. So let's understand. From rest, right? It is accelerating for 5 seconds. ठीक है? So if you have a distance time graph here, that means speed is changing, right? Speed is changing. So it started from 0 and it has to change for first 5 seconds, right? That's what we understood. So distance time graph ka jo matlab gradient hai, that's what speed was, right? Gradient was speed. So that means speed is changing. And it was initially, starting from rest. So initially it was slow, then it will, increase, right? So we have a curve, right? We have a very smooth curve for first 5 seconds. Yahan tak, you guys get this part? So you can clearly see gradient is increasing. Please respond.
Yes, very clear.
Does everyone get this part? For first 5 seconds, it is increasing. Okay? So it has to be a curve that is starting from x-axis and bends all the way towards y. So it becomes more steeper as we move up, right? Okay? Parisa, do you get this?
Yes.
Manahil, do you get this?
Yes.
Acha. Now what happened with the next 5 seconds? So say it says it maintains this speed for the next 5 seconds. So maintains constant speed. So constant speed means gradient has to be same. So from 5 to next 5, that means, kind of for 10 seconds, it has to go straight. So with the ruler, it goes like straight for first 5 seconds. So it's like this 5 seconds. So that's next, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. So it's constant gradient, right? Now, the last part. It says it comes to rest, but not immediately. It comes to rest in the next 10 seconds. So if we, kind of sketch this up. So say that's 10 seconds. So it has to stop here, somewhere here. So it will take some time to stop, right? It won't stop instantaneously. There is no machine on earth that stops the moment you press the brake. No, it will take some time. So that's where the concept of braking distance is. So it has to break. वो हम पढ़ेंगे braking distance and thinking distance, but it has to break. It has to stop. So it will stop gradually. So it will stop like from this to, it becomes parallel here. So the misconception was it can't be parallel here. No, 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 nothing like that. Because you mean to say it stopped at 10 seconds. So what kind of device was that? Do you guys get this part? Manahil, Adessa, do you guys get this?
Yes, sir.
Like
Yes.
100%? Like 100%?
Yes.
That's nice. Okay. Let's, you know, let's do something like this. So one of the questions was this, the other question is distance time. So yeah. So a pilot flies from city A to city B at 100 kilometers per hour. Then from city B to city C at 500 kilometers per hour. Then from city C to city A, he returns back at 1500 kilometers per hour. ठीक है भाई? Okay, now draw displacement time graph for it. So I am writing here categorically displacement time graph. Displacement time graph. Let's see what you guys have to do with this. So sketch it, send me the answers. So I was just, sketching freehand while you guys are thinking I'm sketching. I don't have to do anything better than, sketching. So I'm sketching. You don't have to make fun of my sketches, okay? अच्छा ये बताओ कि दांत निकला मेरी बेटी का निकलने वाला ला मारू एक मैं वीडियो देख रहा था उसमें ना वो पैरेट लाता है पैरेट को यूं करता है मुंह में वो दांत वही देखता है कौन सा हिल रहा है वो उसको निकाल रहा है अपनी उसकी बीक होती है ना बड़ी खतरनाक अच्छा आपने बिरयानी खाई आज मेरी खाई अपनी ईदी एक मिनट नहीं अपनी ईदी में से पैसे निकालिए एंड मुझे बिरयानी दीजिए आज so you guys must be enjoying कि हम क्या बातें कर रहे हैं so you should stay focused on displacement time you don't have to think about biryani and parrot okay So are you guys done? Hello, are you guys done?
Yes.
So I have one answer. Let's see what the answer says. So displacement time, city A, city B, city C. So if I compare the gradient here, so it has to be the greatest here. Looks very good. So that's good job. Good job. Nice. Hadisa, very good. Let's erase this. Let's let's see कि बाकियों ने क्या किया. बाकियों ने बनाना है अभी. I have answer here. Increasing gradient, decreasing ऊपर से ठीक है. क्यों भाई ऐसा क्यों है? ऐसी बातें क्यों कर रहे हैं आप? सो द आइडिया इज़ वेरी मच क्लियर. ठीक है, वेरी गुड. सबने काम सही किया है, बिल्कुल सही किया है. बट क्योंकि आई हैव टू एक्सप्लेन. सो फर्स्ट थिंग इज यू हैव अ डिस्प्लेसमेंट टाइम एंड यू आर गिवन you know this velocity values because there are distances. So this is a constant gradient thing, this is a constant gradient thing, right? And this is also a constant gradient. So the only difference you need to understand is initially it will go on and then we'll have a steeper gradient because you have to represent 100 and you have to represent 500. So this should be more steeper over displacement time, and then displacement can decrease. So if someone is returning from this point, so it has to go back and it would be the steepest. So बहुत ही जबरदस्त fall है and still it would be constant. So it was pretty easier. So do you guys now understand this? दोनों तीनों ने सही किया है, but there was a question, so I kind of went through it. So do you get it the idea now?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, अब आई एम गोइंग टू स्टॉप हियर एंड वो जो मैंने एक तो परीसा का काम है, दूसरा रिकॉर्डिंग है, वो मैं अपलोड करता हूँ. नेक्स्ट क्लास में विल मूव टुवर्ड्स स्पीड टाइम एंड वेलोसिटी टाइम. सो डोंट स्किप दैट क्लास, दैट वुड बी वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड दैट वुड बी वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट. ठीक है, तो रिकॉर्डिंग तो देख ही लोगे, बट रिकॉर्डिंग में वो नहीं होगा कि सबको समझ में आ रहा हो. ठीक है, सो आई एम गोइंग टू एंड दिस एंड आई हैव टू गिव द फीडबैक ऑफ द ग्राफ. वहाँ जैसा मुझे भेजेंगी, मैंने के लिए रिकॉर्डिंग अपलोड करनी है और बरीसा को मैं अलग से दे दूंगा. ठीक है, चलो लेट्स एंड दिस. टेक केयर, थैंक यू, अल्लाह हाफिज़.